Let's jump back on strategy and the digital credit. And you came to the same conclusion I did, that if Bitcoin is going to succeed, it's most likely that strategy will succeed.
Yeah, was an investor before Bitcoin, and I love things that can 10 to 100x. So if there's a possibility of 100x, I'm interested in it. And I think Bitcoin has the chance in the end to be, without inflation, $400 to $500 trillion asset, which would mean, I don't know, I think we are under 2 trillion, but let's just say for easy math, we're at $2 trillion currently of the market cap of Bitcoin. This would mean a 200x from here. And so it is still in the rule of it can x from here, which is always my rule. If I don't see a path to 100x over a very long period of time, I'm less interested in that. That's why I'm not that interested in Tesla anymore. I invested in Tesla when it was a lot smaller, rode the wave. I think I made with Tesla like a 12x or 15x or something like that. But it's no longer that interesting because I have a hard time seeing Tesla 100xing from here without inflation. With inflation, they can definitely 100x because inflation can go wild, but then I don't have anything from that. So if an asset doesn't do X, I'm not that interested in it. And then it's just about the probability or the likelihood of it doing that. Bitcoin, I'm at a probability of like 98%. Like I haven't been so bullish on Bitcoin in a long term. Like all the things that I've imagined have been doing way better than I've imagined. I've been now in Bitcoin 6 years, and every year I'm positively surprised how much we have done. Not from a price standpoint, just from an adoption standpoint. With strategy, I'm still forming my conviction level. I'm still forming the probability or the likelihood it will 100x, but it definitely can. Like it can do 100x very easily, actually. So if it just gets to ride the Bitcoin wave and just gets to be let's say it creates in premium. It never gets more premium than now. I think I just looked it up on the phone. It has a 1.22 MNAV from the enterprise value, as you said. If it never gets above that, or even if it gets a little lower than that, let's say a 1.1 or 1.15 or something like that, a 15% premium, a 20% premium, something like that, it will still be 100x if they don't mess it up. And that's what I think what Saylor always means with the laser focus on like not buying other companies and all of that. They have to keep that laser focus on building digital credit on top of digital capital. And I think they have a chance to, in a very long time frame, I'm not talking 5 years, I'm more talking like 20, 30, 50 years. So like when I'm in my retirement home doing one podcast a week and talking with like 90 years old about the old stories, at that point, I think we can see a strategy 300xing from here. It's a possibility, especially if Bitcoin also does that. But even if Bitcoin is not that successful, strategy will still be a great asset, still be a great company. This is the dangerous part of the whole thesis. And this is the dangerous part of what I realized. They accumulated in 2026, on average, about 900 Bitcoin a day. That's huge. Strategy is an accumulation monster currently of Bitcoin. They have been not as rapidly increasing their Bitcoin stake as never in history. And we are in a Bitcoin bear market. Imagine what they can do with all the excitement of a Bitcoin bull market, with a higher premium, with the stretch protocol being more established, with all of those things. It is crazy for me the possibility they have to raise money in an absolute bear market with such a low sentiment, with such a bad feeling from the investors. So my thesis on strategy currently gets a little bit more bullish every single week. I'm not finished yet. And I promised this to the community. I promised that to the YouTube community. At some point, I will dive very deep in all my thoughts I have around strategy and write it down a thesis. I might do an article, 100% will do a video. Will probably be like at least an hour long, maybe 2 hours. I don't know, because I have a lot of thoughts now already in my head around that asset. And I will release that and give all of you guys my full thoughts and like lay it all in front of you guys. And you can hold me then accountable for the next 20 years, how great or bad I was with strategy. But I truly believe that this will be an amazing equity play. And if you want to, let's put it that way. If you don't want to hold equity, if you think you're a full Bitcoin self-custody maxi like I was or I am, and you believe that the whole stock market and all equities and everything that is denominated in US dollars will all go to shit and everything will crashing down and everything will go to zero and therefore strategy also goes to zero. Okay, stay in Bitcoin self-custody, you will be safe, you have your 30% CAGR, and you will be doing phenomenal. This will be absolutely crazy good. But if you think the stock market will still be there in 50 years, if you think that the equity market, the credit market, the traditional financial space on top of Bitcoin will still be there in 50 years, then I think having a play of Bitcoin in a stock portfolio gives you a lot of more playroom, a lot of more leverage to play around with your Bitcoin if you invest in strategy. For example, if you want to borrow against your asset, highly, strongly do not recommend doing that with Bitcoin, because you should not give away your Bitcoin, and they usually want your Bitcoin if you want money from them. Do it with your strategy stock. You can borrow against your strategy stock. It's a lot safer. It's a lot more tested out. The rates are way cheaper. I don't know what you guys get in the Netherlands or what you guys get in America, but I'm getting offered like 5%, 4%, 6% for borrowing against my stock portfolio without even talking to a bank consultant. It's just like getting the I forgot the name they are calling it, but getting the borrowing against your stock portfolio rate is like 6% as a standard rate. So if you talk with a bank consultant, talk with some guy, you probably get it down to 5 or 4%. Currently, Bitcoin is like the lowest I ever saw was like 8%.
Yeah,
that's horrible. That's way don't do that. Don't do it for 8%. And you don't want to have a duration on that. Like with the stock portfolios, you usually don't have a duration on that. And there's a lot of safety rules around that. And they're tried and tested for like decades and decades. With Bitcoin, it's like a new thing and you can get liquidated. The worst possible thing that you can possibly do is buy Bitcoin, put in self-custody, put like hundreds and hundreds of hours into that, then get hard on borrowing against your Bitcoin. Bitcoin crashes down to 10K. You get liquidated out of all your assets, all your Bitcoin, and then you're ripping up to $1 million and you're crying your bed to your mom. Like that's literally the worst thing that can happen. And it's not impossible if you're not safe. And so I do not recommend you guys to borrow against your Bitcoin. Borrowing against your stock is a lot safer, which sounds weird because strategy has a higher volatility than Bitcoin. But the economics, the guidelines, and the tried and tested ways of borrowing against your equity is a lot easier than with your Bitcoin. I still don't do it. I still recommend like don't even do it with strategy. Don't do that. Bitcoin is already so strong in CAGR perspective, you don't need that for that. But if you really want to do it more with strategy than with Bitcoin. That's kind of the message.
Yeah. The most important thing for your Bitcoin journey is not buying Bitcoin, but it's how to keep them. And yes, you have maybe the right tools, but how do you actually go ahead and stick it all together so it's the most secure for you personally? Self-custody is a deeply personalized journey, and the Bitcoin way is helping you exactly finding that correct setup for you personally. They are also helping you with securing your own cybersecurity. And if you want to go one step above all that, you can even get a consultation for a Plan B residency. Go to thebitcoinway.com/Robin and you will get a 30-minute free consultation. I finally and officially mine Bitcoin. This is not just something to stack more Satoshis, but it's most importantly also to support the network. Individual miners are the ones that keep the Bitcoin network decentralized. And by the way, you get KYC-free Bitcoin. That's why I use Simple Mining. I get an actual proper Bitcoin miner. They set it up for me. They repair it if it breaks down. And most importantly, they let me choose the pool and even connect my own full node. I'm completely sovereign and I'm completely in control, and I can sign up with Ocean, no account needed. I just give them a Bitcoin address and then there's mining going on. No KYC, nothing. So if you're ready to mine Bitcoin, go to simplemining.io, tell them you come from Robin, and let's mine Bitcoin together.
I just wanted to ask you one more thing before we close up, Robin. You interviewed Michael Saylor, I think 1 year ago. What kind of guy is he? And what was it in Prague? Did you interview him in Prague, or where did you meet him?
I interviewed Michael Saylor now, I think about 1.5 years ago. And because people always ask me that, oh, how did you get to Saylor? I did not get to Saylor. Like he basically followed me on Twitter, and I asked him, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? And he said yes. And that's the whole story. There's no weird third connection that connected me, or like nothing fancy going on. Like I didn't had a interesting story how I met him. Like it's literally that easy. He followed me on Twitter and I asked him if you want to be on, and he said yes, and that's the whole story. And I met him. It was my first ever in-person podcast that I did with anyone on my podcast, and Saylor was kind of the first one. It was the hardest test run that I had ever to do, and it was fun, but it was also nerve-wracking. I have to say, if you guys watch that video now, you will probably see here and there some like shaking in me. I think I don't show it too much, but like I really do. I did shake a lot inside, and to know which kind of guys is, I think it's not I don't have a strong insight in his psyche and what he is as a person, because I only met him for the podcast briefly. But one thing I want to share is this guy not only talks about laser focus, he is super laser focused. It starts with like obviously his assistant and all of that. Like they check out like about 20 minutes, 30 minutes before he comes. I think that everything is set up and everything is like open and like the microphones and everything is ready, because obviously you don't want to waste his time. You want to have everything ready when he's coming. He's coming. Hi, no small talk. Sit down. What are we going to talk about? What is the topics? And then just like, it was fun because I offered him to like have inputs in the questions and the topics and all of that. Didn't care. Like he like never reached back on that front. So it was not like he selected the questions or like any topic. Like obviously he doesn't need to do that, and obviously he doesn't do that also, just because some people also ask that. And then when it comes to like the sit down, we sat down. It was really interesting to me because he cares about the details. He cared about that there was a class standing in front of him and he wanted that not in the shot and like put it down because it was like optical not as good, and like he had the band of the conference still on there, and he asked if someone has a scissor to like cut the band off because he didn't like it. Like I was impressed by the small things he cared for and the love at the details. That was really interesting and crazy for me to see. But then other than that is the laser focus that he has and that he really puts on everything. He just sat down and said, how many questions do you have and for how long are we going? And I just told him like I have about 10 questions and we're going for about 1.5 hours. And he said like, let's start. That's like those were the only 2 sentences that I've exchanged with him in person. It was like, hello, how many questions and how long are we going? And then let's start. Like that's all. Like that's the input I got from him. Then we had the whole podcast. So after that, you can just see it on my podcast, what I did with him. And then after that, he stood up, said, thank you for setting it up. And off he goes. He has a laser focus. He sits in the car, has his iPad, works, watches, like whatever he does on the iPad, and is focused on that one mission, getting Bitcoin to the world, creating digital credit and doing what he does. And I think a more interesting insight is not only from the podcast, but also I was at the 100K party that he was throwing around a year ago. Yeah, like was this last year? I think it was last year, right?
Yeah.
Gosh. So I think this was like literally last year, so like 1 year and like 2-3 months ago. And this was interesting because I thought he might be partying a little bit. Like it's his 100K party. It is his home. Like he can relax and he can lean back a little bit and like drink a little bit. I've never seen a glass in his hand. Like, of course, I've not stalked him the whole night, but I've never seen every time I saw him in the party, and it was not that crowded. It was like 200 people. So I've never seen him with a glass in the hand. I've never seen him, I've not even seen him anything eating. So like, he is laser focused and was just focused on walking around, talking with the people, providing value, seeing everyone, and was just like very focused and very in his element. And just like one thing that people underestimate, this guy is super nice. I'm a fucking nobody. And when he met me for the first time, I was even less of a nobody than I'm now. And he takes the time out to say hello, to be on my podcast, to invite me and my fiance, back then girlfriend, to his house for the 100K party. He came up to us, said hello, thank you for coming. He said, thank you for all the things that you're doing and providing for the Bitcoin community. Talked with my fiance. Like this guy does not have to be that nice. He has a lot of power, a lot of wealth, a lot of influence to be an asshole. But he chooses not to be an asshole. He chooses to be nice, cheerful, productive, and overall a great person. And a little bit of a problem I had with the interview he did on Danny.
What Bitcoin did. Yeah.
This was a very big controversy.
Yeah.
And one thing is very sure, he's very direct. And I think that's what you saw. I think people are not used to having someone that is very focused on an idea and very clear on something if he wants to be very straight. Like he's not the buddy that like sits back and relax with you, have a beer and like talk. Like that's not him. He's very like, you give him an idea. And actually, Jeff Walton, you had him on the podcast. He talked about this on True North, which was really interesting to hear. He had like 30 minutes of with Saylor in private, and he pitched him something. And he talked about that on True North, like Jeff. And he had an idea for, I think, something insurance, Bitcoin insurance or something like that. And he pitched that. And about like 8 minutes later, he just said like, it's a stupid idea. Like it will not work, this and that and all of those things. And then they still have 20 minutes left. And I actually like those kind of people. And I see where some people might think that's like bad behavior, not nice and all of that. I think it's actually nice.
It's honest.
If I'm wasting someone else's time, I hope they tell me, because then I'm also wasting my own time. I'm not as confrontational as he is. I'm also a lot younger, so I might develop that still. But I think having just a laser focus personality that will tell you if you're wasting your time and you're investing your time in a bad idea, I like that more than gaslighting me into doing something that is not worth doing anyways. So all that to say, I think he is kinder and nicer than people portray him. And he's as laser focused and as straight and direct as people, I think, believe that he is and what he also says. So that, but again, I'm not a good friend of his. I'm just like observer of him. I saw him on 2 occasions. I haven't had a long conversation with him outside of the podcast. My insights to his personality is probably the same as most people that watch him on the internet. Maybe some people watching me even more than me and have probably better insight to his personality than me. So I'm not a Saylor expert by any means.
Where can people find your content on the internet? And are there maybe conferences where you planning to attend that people can meet you or will find you?
Yeah, the 2 main events that I will do this year, and probably a lot more smaller ones here and there, but is the Bitcoin Las Vegas one coming up in not too long of a time. In, I think, end of April, it is in Las Vegas, which was which will be amazing. I think they have already sold like 30,000 tickets or something crazy like that. So there will be a lot of people there, no matter what the price will be. I think the price could actually surprise some people at that time. And then the next one will be BTC Prague. I'm really looking forward to Bitcoin Prague. Both of them are very different in what kind of feeling they have. And I think both of them are very important for the Bitcoin community. Outside of them, I probably do Amsterdam again. I probably do Bitcoin MENA again. Before Las Vegas, I'm actually at a very small one in Switzerland that is German speaking. The Swiss Bitcoin conference. So only relevant for a very small amount of audience here that might tune in from Austria, Switzerland, or Germany. And yeah, other than that, I will do not as many conferences as last year. I think in last year I did like 8, 10. This year I probably keep it with 4 or 5, something like that. It's still a lot, but it's like I wanna be more selective with the conferences that I'm doing this year.
The first thing that every Bitcoiner does, and the most important activity that every Bitcoiner keeps on doing, is buying Bitcoin. And I personally use Relay to buy and sometimes also spend or sell my Bitcoin. And there are 2 main reasons why I do so. The first one is it's Bitcoin only. They do not do any shit coins. They do not do any cryptos, any stocks, or anything else. This is a tool, an app that is fully focused only and solely on Bitcoin. The second one is self-custody. They give you the keys to your Bitcoin the moment you buy them. You never give them the control over your Bitcoin, and you don't have to trust them because you can verify that you and only you have the keys to your Bitcoin. There's no third-party risk. There's no freezing of your assets. There's no rug pulling. There's nothing of that. Download Relay, the app, on your phone, or go to relay.app on your browser and use code Robin to save fees and get cheaper Bitcoin. I want to tell you about something very special to me. It's called micro seed. If you hold your Bitcoin in self-custody, and you should, you know how critical it is to secure your seed phrase. You should not have them on paper. You should not have them on anything else than titanium. With micro seed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups because MicroSeed is not selling the washer. MicroSeed is selling the device that stamps the washer. So you get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today, and you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io.